Tendlewood School is a school for autistic children and young adults who have set this podcast up to provide our pupils with a fantastic opportunity to develop a range of skills whilst interviewing top sportsmen and women from a variety of different sports. Joining us today on the TWS Sports Podcast is a professional boxer. He is the current British and European star, super Bantamweight champion. Welcome to the podcast, Liam Davies.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. Do you have anything you prefer being called by instead of Liam?
Nah, Liam, that's good with me.
Okay.
Before we start, we just wanted to say that if throughout this podcast, if you have any questions for us about anything about our podcast, or you have a question about autism, then please ask. We'd like to answer your questions too.
I will have some questions, yeah.
We like to start our podcast with some random questions before we start talking about your career. Are you ready?
Born ready.
Who is the most famous person in your phone book?
Most famous person in my phone book? I don't know, Jay Swindler, the YouTube guy, probably.
Okay. Okay, if you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh, good question. Anyone in the world?
Yeah, one day.
Yeah.
One day. That is a good question. Floyd Mayweather.
Okay. If you could have any superpower, what would you have and why?
Or superpower.
Yep. The famous one.
It's probably to be able to eat whatever I want without putting any weight on.
Okay, basically you'd have heightened metabolism.
Yeah, an extreme next level metabolism.
That's a good
Okay
one.
then.
Thank you for answering those questions. Let's chat about your career. We want to take you back to the beginning and talk about your childhood. What are your memories of growing up, and did you always want to be a boxer?
So yeah, growing up since a young lad, I was born in Shrewsbury. I lived in Donington all my life with my mum, and my dad was a boxer. My granddad was a boxer before that. So
Bit of a bloodline going on then.
yeah, I grew up really into boxing. I got pictures as like 3 or 4 years old with head guards on. I always remember we used to go to the markets back then with my nan and granddad, and like car boots and stuff. And we brought things like a wooden thing with a boxing bag on, like you hit it and it comes back and forth, you stand on it. And yeah, the best thing they ever brought me was that. So they brought it me, and I used to give it a few hits, and then I'd get my marker pen out and draw some tears on the face on it, like I started crying. And yeah, those are my first memories of boxing, and that's all I've ever knew really.
Playing around and wearing things that are too big for your head at 4 years old.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Are there any moments in your childhood that shaped your life and made you the person you are today?
Yeah, of course. We had a lot of hard times growing up with my family, and things weren't always great, but boxing was always my gateway out. So yeah, I think going through what you go through as a young person makes you who you are when you grow up.
Question 3 has basically been already answered, but...
Yeah, that's good. Ask anyway.
Alright. Is it true when you were little you used to draw a face on the punching bag, and then when you were finished you would draw tears on the punch bag's face?
Yeah, that's the way I used to show I'd win. I was undefeated on that little punch bag, I was.
Well, you can't punch back.
No, that was the reason. And I was the referee, so I'd decide who won. And I'd always pick myself.
Okay. I want to take you back to your first ever amateur fight. It was against Stephen Smith. What are your memories of that fight?
Wow, that's a good I can't believe you got that name. Well done. Our memories of being here, because you've warmed up in here and the fight was downstairs, so it was warming up right here and then downstairs to the fight. So yeah, that was my first memories of boxing. It was great really, because I always remember a lot of people weren't sure what he was going to do, and I was really confident, and when I was young said it was against a travelling guy and everyone thought I was in trouble, and luckily I won. So yeah, I won my first fight, which is always a good start to your career.
Yeah. As long as you don't get too cocky.
That's it.
You had 79 amateur wins and 21 amateur losses. How do you look back on your amateur career, and is there a certain fight that sticks in your mind?
Yeah, amateur, I always felt like I was sort of doing it but wasn't. I was growing up and I was a teenager, and you sort of half-hearted into it, and luckily I stuck with it, but I didn't reach my full potential as an amateur. I still boxed for England and stuff, but I always remember I got to the final once to explain my luck, and you have to box 3 days. So I boxed Friday against the number 3 in England. Saturday I boxed the number 2, won 1, got into the final, had a broken eye socket, so they didn't pass me to box. And that guy went on to the Olympics and stuff. He's from Liverpool, so
Broken eye socket. That
Yeah.
sounds worse than the time I got a pepper shaker in my eye. Not the actual pepper shaker. I was young, so young I didn't know what a pepper shaker was.
okay.
I saw one sitting on the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
I decided to play with it like a toy.
I actually, I don't know if you ever watch, is Kevin and Perry
Yeah.
Go Large,
Yeah.
and you ever see when he does the vodka in his eye? No,
That's
so,
gotta hurt.
when I was younger, they must have had a party, and the next day I seen this vodka, and it's not long after I watched Kevin and Perry, and I thought, well, he does it, I'll do it, it's cool. And I'd done it, and I was screaming, and my mum said, you idiot, it's bloody, they do it with water, not vodka. I had red eyes for about 2-3 days. Live and learn.
At least you had the guts to open that eye.
Yeah, that's it.
I kept mine closed. I couldn't open it at all.
Was it bad?
Yeah, it hurt. I couldn't see out of it.
You won't do it again then?
Nope. I learned not to put a pepper shaker anywhere near my face. Or go near pepper shakers for that matter.
Yeah.
You then decided to turn professional. Why did you feel it was right? Why did you feel it was the right time to turn pro?
I was 23 years old. I felt I had 100 amateur fights, like you said. I felt like that was always what I wanted to reach, and he had an opportunity to turn professional, and me and my dad come up and said, yeah, we'll take it. So the best decision I probably made, because that gave me a new lease of life then to achieve other goals, and thank whoever's up watching over has helped made that happen.
Yeah, you know if you're a good person when they don't specify a specific deity. Alright, what is the biggest difference between amateur and professional boxing?
Well, once it's harder training because you're doing more rounds. So amateur used to do 3 frees, now I do 12 frees.
Oh.
So it's quadrupled in rounds, which is obviously a lot harder. And the good side is amateur, you used to have to weigh in, and then in an hour or two you'd box, where now I weigh in the day before I fight, so you can get your energy back up. So that's good and bad, but the big difference is the rounds when you weigh in, and the smaller gloves. You wear smaller gloves as a professional with no head guards. And it's a lot more pressure when you're on the telly.
Last time you got a whack in the face.
Yeah, that's it.
Before, when we tried to interview you before, you got a whack in the face.
Yeah,
That must have hurt.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of whacks in the face.
Well, it's an occupational hazard for boxers.
I'm waiting for the time for it to knock some sense into me. That's what I'm hoping. Someone will.
They'd have to wear knuckle dusters.
Yeah.
Your first professional fight was with
I don't know how to say it.
We have no idea how this pronounced.
Yeah, I think it's
Have a go.
Vicar Gigalashgivi.
Something like that. You've done it better than
We're saying
me.
this totally wrong.
You've done it better than me.
Apologies, whoever this is.
Yeah.
That was my first fight, yeah. And it was a tough fight because he had a few wins and he was going into the fight confident. Some people have it easy when they turn professional, but my dad was never going to let me have it easy, and obviously if you have it easy you get comfortable, you don't train as hard, so I've always been up against it, but always helps you make sure you prepare better.
Yeah. Is it true that you changed promoters from Eddie Heard to Frank Warren? Why did you decide to change?
So I boxed on the Eddie Earn show. I wasn't actually signed with him, but they said the winner stays on. And I was waiting for my next fight to come through. And we didn't hear nothing for ages, and my manager rang me. And Frank Warren been in touch and said that they want to offer me a deal. And the first fight was in my hometown, Telford, which I ain't boxing that time for many years. So it just seemed like the perfect time to do it. And yeah, I signed with Frank. And I had my first fight in Telford on BT Sports not long after. So it was good. But if I didn't box on Eddie Earn, maybe I wouldn't have got the opportunity to go with Frank. So I'm still happy with my decision anyway, because I've had good nights in Telford headlines, and my next fight and stuff's all main event on BT, which is like where you want to be, really.
With boxing, Liam, from a fan's point of view anyway, when you see the top fights, I'm thinking of Fury and stuff at the moment, there's a lot of, as fans, you just want fights to happen.
Yeah.
And there seems lots of things get in the way, promoters, fans, money. I know obviously you're not probably quite at the level quite yet, but even at the level you are currently, is there the promoters getting in the way, and is it frustrating as a boxer that you just can't make these fights happen?
Yeah, it is. It is. Obviously, as a boxer, this is what like Tyson and obviously their world level. Same for myself. You have to negotiate money and stuff, and you're trying to get what's worth. It's not just all about that night. It's this where people don't understand. You've gone without for many years. Like I have never worked a proper job. Always trained and scrimped and scraped at the low level. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm here. I want my worth. Do you know? I want to be shown my respect and paid well and stuff like that. But I don't get involved in that. Like my saying is always to my manager, tell me how much, and talk to my dad about whoever the fight is, because I'm not interested in fight. I just want to make a living out of it and make sure I'm financially secure, because like I said, I've gone without. It's 19, 20-year-olds, all my mates working on building sites, earning £500-600 a week, and I'm scrimping and scraping. So always, this is the point I always got to, and now you have to make sure you make the most of it, because it don't last forever. And it's hard, innit? Because I do understand, like, when people are looking in, they're saying they want this, they want that, it's too much. Promoters do play a big part, and everyone's trying to earn a pound coin themselves, which is understandable. But we as the fighters, we're the ones going in, risking your life, putting your body through torture.
Come again.
Doing everything.
Yes.
Take that back a few. Risk your life? Yikes!
People have died in the boxing ring, and this is, from the outside, it's. I tell you the truth, before you go in a fight, you have to sign a death certificate things, you know what I mean? Say you're ready to do that, and fans and stuff don't get to see that side, but that's how serious it is, and people have died sadly in the boxing, so it's just about getting what you can, hopefully
Sounds like Mick Foley was ridiculously lucky.
Yeah.
He spoke to Mick Foley, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who's Mick Foley, boxer?
No, he's a WWE wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly different,
which is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right, go on then, Tom, number 10.
Your first title fight was for the English title at Wembley Arena. This was also your first fight on TV. Can you tell us about that and how it was different from some of your other fights?
Oh, it was massively different. So we found out like 19 days before. I had a phone call off my manager. I was working on the bins at the time. I was running round. I had this phone call saying, "You want to fight?" Obviously, I had to speak to my dad, and it was in lockdown, so I wasn't really training. I was just doing what.
And you were like, "Come again?"
Yeah, I was a bit like, I wanted to, but I just wished I'd trained more. Because of the lockdown, no one knew what was going on, so I was just working and not really doing much. And so I spoke to my dad to come check my weight, and I had like 9 kg to lose in 19 days, and we just hit hard at it, lost the weight, and I didn't really think about the fight because I had so much weight to lose and a lot of training to do because I wasn't training beforehand. I was a bit tunnel vision, and I turned up me and my dad went down to London. They put us in the Hilton Hotel for a week, and walking around, you had Conor Benn there, Alan Babbitt, who was fighting for a world title, and all these, like Eddie Earn, all these famous people, and I felt like there's me and my dad from Donington just plodding about, but he was a bit crazy and very nerve-wracking. Yeah. Not about the fight, nerve-wracking to talk to these people and have to interact with these kind of people. So it was a mad experience. Come round fast.
You could have used to talk to us beforehand.
Yeah.
Because we've had I kind of came up with, we kind of decided that we kind of found out something. Famous people are just people.
Yeah.
They're just that people.
Yeah.
They're not sharks.
No, that's true.
Still nerve-wracking though, isn't it?
That's true.
They're not royalty. They're not going to bite your head off. They can't hurt you.
Nah. But it's just something different. Say it was something that I wasn't used to or never been around, so it was a new scenario for us in the boxing. But obviously it worked out great. We boxed on the Saturday. I won with 6 round stoppage, and like I say, that was my first time on the telly, and yeah, it was a good buzz after, and good things come after it, which I'm very grateful for.
You mentioned, sorry. You mentioned there about bantamweight, and what weight do you have to make? What's the weight?
So that one I made 8 stone 6.
How do you?
I make 8 stone 10 now, which is
how do you
crazy.
find that? What's your normal weight? What's your like? Do you struggle to make that weight? Do you have to put weight on for that?
I have to make 55 kg. I walk around about 66, 11 kg.
So how do you find that? How do you find making the weight?
Wouldn't advise it to anyone, like. But I'm experienced, and it's just doing it the right way. So I pay a nutritionist who helps me like leaps and bounds, because it just takes the stress off. They know because some boxers just starve. You think, oh, I can't eat nothing, but it is eating things, just the right things and at the right time. So yeah,
You don't go to anyone starving half to death.
But you do go hungry and you go dehydrated. You drink a lot of water, and then you have to get all the water out, and you go dry, and it's not great, but it just has to be done. And I will move up in time, but to be fair, I see a lot of people struggle. I don't make it easy, because it's not easy, but I make it fine. It don't affect my performance. So when it starts affecting your performances, that's when it's taking too much out of your body.
Yours.
What is your biggest strength in your boxing style?
Mine, got a good boxing IQ, I'd say. I'm very clever at what I do and my positioning in the ring, and I'd say I'm quite strong, yeah, for the weight. I'm very big and strong, yeah, that's what I'd say.
Except for that time you fought. You know.
What time?
You were hit in the face!
Or when you broke your eye socket at that time.
Yeah, and that time.
I still won though.
But still.
I still won, so it was alright. I was happy.
Good positioning in the ring. Not if you get yourself hit, you're not.
Boxing's like this. If you go swimming, you're gonna get wet. If you go boxing, you're gonna get hit. That's how it goes.
Yeah. What is your biggest weakness in your boxing style?
Not getting hit in the face.
Biggest weakness? I'd say, as weird as it is, it's probably, I'm never scared to get it, so I don't mind taking it, do you know what I mean? But that's not clever sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm not bothered. I'd happily take one to give one back. So sometimes that's the bad mentality to have. But
yeah. Don't be afraid to get hit, but don't hesitate to dodge.
yeah, that's it. And sometimes I don't.
Hey, you should be get rid of your dad. Get this over.
Training.
I didn't see that.
I barely know anything about boxing.
So yeah, taking too many punches sometimes.
Yeah.
Liam, we have a selection of photos we would like to show you. We would like you to explain what is happening in the photos for our listeners, and then what the photos remind you of.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our picture questions.
It's the first one. You want to explain what that is and what's happening?
That's me winning my first title with BT Sports, my second title as a professional, and on cloud 9, as you can see. Just absolutely buzzing, made up, all the hard work
Are
paid
you in a
off.
hoodie?
I'm in the gown,
So
yeah.
is that English title?
No, WBC, so that was after my English
Okay.
title. And I fought a guy who fought for a world title before and lost, but that was my very toughest fight to that date, and I knew it was going to be tough, and I come through my first 10 rounder.
Yeah. Right, next one.
Yeah, young lad, training up GB. with the famous AJ Anthony Joshua. Very good guy. And I remember the day before this photo, he was training, and I went up to try and ask for a picture, and his security guard said he's training at the minute, and AJ must have seen. And so anyway, I went about my day, just carried on, thought I was training, I leave, and then the next day I was getting ready to spar, like rooting through my bag, getting my stuff out.
And he showed up?
I felt this hand on me, and I looked back and he says, "We're going to get this picture, champ." And I always respect him for that. I'll never ever forget that. And yeah. So he asked me for the picture. What can I say?
He said, "Where's Liam? I need a photo."
Yeah.
Never underestimate the eyes of a boxer.
True.
Never. Oh yeah, this is my granddad, Tide his granddad in Welsh, and 100 years old. He passed away just over a week ago now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I know what it's like. I lost my grandfather not too long ago as well.
yeah, 100 years old. God bless him. That's just a picture for memories for life.
So is he? You mentioned your granddad's a boxer. Is that?
My granddad's dad.
Okay.
So my granddad up there, Brian, he passed away in 2011. Yeah, with cancer, and his dad's still alive. He was still.
Same thing happened to my granddad.
Yeah, it happens, and 100 years old, lived a hell of a life, seen plenty more than most of us will see, and
So very proud of you then.
never be forgotten.
Oh, I got two more.
It's like chunky guy collecting an award from the council. Been at McDonald's for too long.
It looks like some sort of high school graduation from a movie.
Receiving an award off the council, which I'm truly honoured to get, and not many people have received that award over plenty of years, so it's obviously a special an award, and I'm very grateful, and yeah, it's good to get recognised for the hard work that I've put in for many years.
Right, and this is the last one. This isn't you, but it's a fight coming up. So what? So who was that?
Jason Cunningham.
So do you know him? What's your relationship like with him? And
So he's all right. He's a nice guy. It's obviously him wants to fight, so it'll all be different that night. But I got nothing bad to say about him. He's got a family, kids trying to provide for him, so fair play to him. But it's either I provide for my family and move on, or he does for his, and that's what it comes to. And I wish him all the best after I beat him.
so 26th of April, end of April, so at some point.
29th of
29th
April.
of April.
Don't get too cocky.
Not cocky, confidence. Don't ever confuse. You shouldn't confuse.
Yeah, I
confidence
know, but
with
there is a
cocky.
fine thin line.
Yeah.
Don't cross it.
What do you want me to say? He's gonna beat me.
No.
I'm gonna beat him. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all I gotta
but-
say.
But that might cross over into overconfidence, and then overconfidence renders you blind.
Oh no, I still train. Still train very hard. Still train very hard. But
Alright, just watch yourself.
okay.
Because your comment could come back and bite you in the butt one day.
You've been
Yeah.
told him.
Oh yeah, I'm put in my place.
By a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
A few fights later, you fought Mark Leach at Telford Arena for the British Super Bantamweight title. What was that like to win a British title in front of your hometown fans?
Yeah, it was great, and that was always what we set out to do when we turned professional. Win a British title. No one from Telford won a British title before, and set a bit of history, and that was the aim. And
You may as well be the first.
yeah, the night come. Mark Leach is on an 18-win streak, and he was a big favourite. No, I don't think anyone really believed in us. If you watched all the people who know boxing, the pundits, I don't know what they could have meant to know their boxing inside out. Professional analysm kind of people, and yeah, no one gave me a chance bar me, my dad and my family, so I went in there with nothing to lose really, because he's a good guy, and I just went in there with a hungry belly, and I believe that night nothing would have stopped me. A few days before, went to my granddad's grave and promised him I'll be back with the British title, and yeah, it was tunnel vision. I honestly, no person with 2 arms and 2 legs that night, I believe, would have beat me and stopped me. I was so focused, and I had a cut in the first 30 seconds of a 12-round fight, so we still had 36 minutes to go, and it was a big cut, and then within a minute I knew I was behind, and I caught him a shot and dropped him, and yeah, I done what people didn't believe I could do, and it was good, but that's done now, so you've got to keep pushing on. And like I say, I had 2 big fights last year too, and Mark Leach was the one that got me in a good position and put me #1 in Britain and set up for these big fights.
Yeah. It's times we talk about moments like this, I understand the saying, you little guys who are capable of big things, never underestimate them, or you'll pay for it.
Yeah. That's a memory that will last a lifetime. Like at the minute, try not to like dwell and get too happy about it, because the job ain't done yet. We're still boxing and still got plenty more to do, but I'm sure when I'm an old man downstairs sipping a pint, I'll look back and be happy with it.
During a fight, can you tell if you are winning or not?
Yeah, in your own, yeah, of course. What you think, you're always a bit biased to yourself, I believe. But yeah, I believe I can read if I'm winning, or I don't go back to the corner and ask. Do you know what I mean? I always, it's a funny old game, because you have to talk to yourself in your own head, and obviously if you're winning or not, you come with a different mindset.
It's like dividing your consciousness in 2. I do that sometimes.
You have to figure out if you need to throw the kitchen sink at someone, or if you just need to be clever and keep doing what you're doing.
You don't literally throw kitchen sinks at people, do you?
No. But I mean, like, you give everything you got if you're losing to try and catch up, and if you're winning, you just got to keep doing what you're doing and being clever about it. So yeah, you do have that conversation in your head for sure.
How important are your team during a fight? In the between rounds, when you go to your corner, how important is that 30 seconds?
It's actually a minute you get. You get a minute each round.
Oh, okay.
But it's very important, because you need the right advice and you need the eyes. And for me, my team, I've been with forever, my dad, Andrew McFarlane, Simon Baberstock and Errol Johnson. And we've spent a long time together, and I trust them, so whatever they say I will try and put into the play. And yeah, like I say, we've had 13 fights in a minute, it's all worked out. So yeah, it's very important to have a good team around you with giving you the right advice, and I believe I got the best of that.
Okay, your dad is your trainer. How do you find that relationship between you both? Is there ever a time where it becomes difficult?
Yeah, of course. We're not all sunshines and rainbows.
Who is?
We have a lot of hard times, and yeah, we've been head to head and everything, and you argue and bicker, but when's all said and done and you've calmed down, actually, like for myself, my dad's on my case a lot to make sure, and I just believe it's for the right reason. Where when I was younger, not so old and wise, not that I'm old, but older and wiser, I used to take it as a dig and look at it the wrong way, when now I look at it like he knows what I need to do, and he's just pushing me for the better, which is good. And I'm lucky really, because not many people have relationships like me and my dad do, like best friends. We spend a lot of time together over the years, still spending a lot of time together, and if there's anyone I need to ring for boxing or anything of that matter, my dad's my first port of call. So yeah, I'm very, very lucky, and the good outweighs the bad 99 to 1.
You beat Baluta at Telford to win the European title. What are your memories of that fight, and was that the greatest moment of your career so far?
I would say the British still topped, even though the Europeans are better belt, because the British was something that no one gave me a chance to, and it was my first time boxing in Telford, and I felt like they tried to feed me to the lions a bit, and I come through.
This is an ancient Rome, and you're not. Well, you maybe are Christian, but this is an ancient Rome.
There's that saying though, isn't it? Getting fed to the lions.
Which probably derives from the time Christians were literally fed to said lions.
But yeah, the Beluta fight was obviously another big step up, and I jumped from the British to the European, which people don't normally do, so it's a big ask. And again, I was doubted, and people were saying it's too early, especially Beluta. Beluta thought he was going to come in 1-2 me and walk around dancing around Telford, but it didn't work out that way, and I turned up and done the business in the third.
How many times have I told people not to be too overconfident? Oh dear.
I got to be confident about that because the fight happened, didn't it? So I won.
Yeah, your opponent I'm on about one
Oh,
too. You
oh,
walk around,
yeah.
dance around.
I think because he fought a lot better people than my record that I fought. So his record to mine was probably better on like who he fought, but that didn't mean that I wasn't ready, and I think he believed that I wasn't ready for the fight, and
Clearly that came back.
yeah, it did. But I always remember of that fight, I bruised my hand in like the third round. We had to do like 9 more rounds, and the next day all my hands were like balloons. So it was a good thing because you have to get through sometimes hard times for the better. And like I say, looking back now, it was worth it. But I come back to complain to my dad, said my hand's gone. Yeah, I don't care. And that's the kind of people you need. Get that out your head.
Alright. What's the worst thing about training camp for you, and what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, the worst thing is the dieting.
Oh.
For sure. The temptation of wanting something that normally what you can't have is what you want in this life. And yeah, food is tough. I train 3 times a day. I'll get up and go, say I'll go running or swimming or boxing class. And then that'll be at 9-10 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock I do one or the other, like a run, a swim, like it mixes every day, or sparring. And then on the evening I'm back at it. So 3 times a day, so you're probably training 6-7 hours a day, and you're on like 1700 calories, which you're losing more than that, and that's when it can get mentally draining for sure.
I'm surprised you're not a twig yet.
Oh, when I'm not in camp I make up for it, don't worry.
I bet.
Yeah, I do.
Your dad can't get on your back if you're not if you don't have to train
No.
now, can he?
And I don't live with him now, so I
He
live on my
definitely
own,
can't-
so he don't see what's...
can't get at you
No,
now.
I lock the door and spend the night in the goodie cupboard.
As long as he doesn't have a key.
No, I make sure of that.
So you got a fight.
Should you really be saying all this?
So you got a fight end of April. So has camp started for you? How long does the camp last?
Yeah. So I'm always training now, because like I say, I don't work, so boxing's my job, and luckily for me, I got good sponsors that help me month to month, just with paying and financially supporting. So yeah, I'm dedicated to the boxing, and I'm always in camp. But normally 8 weeks of like graft. Do you know what I mean? So it's just about making sure you're ready for the night and giving yourself enough time to lose the weight and do it properly.
Your next fight is at Telford International Centre on 29th April against Jason Cunningham, but Jason is also fighting Miguel Gonzalez in a few weeks for the
I don't think you
vacant.
said the last name right.
Maybe
Go on,
not.
Tom.
Apologise if you haven't.
Go on, keep going.
Vacant WBO International Super Bantamweight title. So is that normal for a fighter to have a few fights lined up and not just one fighter at a time?
So I think what it was is we was meant to fight, and they wanted a warm-up fight before the fight with me. So they give him a warm-up fight, and I would have fought on that show myself, but I'm getting married, so I couldn't do that, and that's why it's been put back. But yeah, Jason still wanted to have a warm-up fight before he fights me, and hopefully he wins, because keeps our fight alive.
I was about to say that. If he loses,
Yeah, done.
are you still fighting? Like, what's...
No.
So obviously, what? Go on, listen. Your question follows on.
Okay.
Do you answer that one?
If Jason wins that fight, will all of his titles be on the line when he faces you? If so, what titles will be on the line?
Only my titles. Jason ain't got no titles. So it would be for my British, European and WBC.
So he's got nothing to lose.
Nothing
Literally.
to lose. Yeah. Nothing
You
to
on
lose.
your hand. That's a lot.
That's what being
Yeah.
a champion's like, isn't it?
That's it. That's what you got to make sure you're ready and keep training. So make sure no one takes them off me, which I'm.
So I don't know Miguel Gonzalez. Is Jason likely to beat him, or is that quite a close fight?
I've never seen him before. He's won 30, lost 3, so he seems decent. Come up from the weight. I ain't looked at him at all. I actually seen Jason.
Do your research, mate.
I'm not interested in them.
What if you wind up fighting him? You have no idea what you're doing.
I'm not fighting that Mexican guy. Jason Cunningham's fighting him, and then yeah, maybe like I say, I don't know if he beats him. Maybe I'll fight him. I'll fight the winner. I don't. Like I said earlier on, I don't ask who. I just ask when and how much. That's all I care about.
So who's the
You should
current?
do more research, mate.
So who's the best boxer at this level then? Who's the goal that you want to fight in a few years or whatever? Who's the current
Well,
champion?
the world champions, Stephen Fulton from America and Akhmedov from Uzbekistan. So one of them. So prove if I'm the best or just to see.
So how far away is that fight from happening? Do you
Next
think?
year, end of the year. I'm ranked 9 in the world, so they're ranked 1 and 2. So keep few more wins.
You'd better do research on those two then.
Oh, I've watched them too. Yeah, I've watched them
You'd
too.
better, otherwise they could catch you off guard.
I've watched them too. I have.
Go on, listen, number 22.
Alright. Do uncomfortable situations bring out the best or worst out of you? And can you think of a time where you're in an uncomfortable position?
In
other
boxing.
than the day you proposed to your girlfriend.
Nah, not really. I don't really get uncomfortable on edge. Me, quite a what would be and go with the flow guy. But yeah, obviously, before the fights and you're headlining in your hometown, you're on BT Sports and you got sold 1,000 tickets and you got thousands, maybe millions watching on the TV. It's a bit of pressure and a bit like you got to make sure you do everything right. But yeah, other than that, it's just I roll with what will be. What's meant to be will happen, and what ain't won't.
What are you more nervous about? You fight with Jason or get married?
Oh, neither. Neither.
I follow you.
My speech, yeah, I'm more nervous about the speech. That's for
Dude.
sure.
Dude, I've never been to a wedding, but you should be at least a teeny bit worried.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
Good
You
plan.
should be.
Nah. I'm not worried. Probably, I'd say I'm a fighter and that, but I'm soft. I am. I'm a crier sometimes. So hopefully I can just hold it together because I know
Good
what I'm
luck.
like.
When you beat Jason Cunningham, who do you want to fight next?
That's a good start to that question. That was when I beat him. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't. You don't hear?
You two are worse than each other.
Gotta be positive, Alyssa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am being positive.
But who next? Well, after Cunningham, all being well, we do the job, and I got to fight an Italian guy. I can't think of his name, Rigold or something. So maybe it's going to be in Telford. Maybe they can get it in Italy. I don't know, but yeah, I think they're my next 2 fights, and
So how
then
many, go on.
after that maybe a world title or something big.
So how many fights do you have a year? Is it sort of 4 fights a year? Is it?
3 or 4, yeah. Depends on injuries and stuff. Last year I had 2.
Do you find that then? I know it's different amateur and professional. The rounds are shorter, but as an amateur, you fight in every few weeks, is it?
Amateur, yeah.
And
You
then
can fight 1
professionals-
week, then the next.
And professionals, you got like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Do you find it different, like not being in the ring as much?
I would prefer to fight all the time. They wouldn't because they'd have to pay me. But yeah, I'd like to be more active, and like I say, I'm 26-year-old, so I want to be as active as possible and do as much as I can before everything's done.
But you two are active and you could wind up with arthritis.
Yeah, that's it. It's finding the right balance in it, and hopefully we can get 3 or 4 in this year and move on to another big year.
Oh.
25.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
5 years' time, 31, hopefully in my own house with a happy family, my 2 dogs, and done from boxing with a nice wedge of money.
Really? 5 years time? Is that what you don't?
Sooner the better for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's everyone sees the sunshine and rainbows at the end, see you on the night and you won. No one sees your hard work goes in, dieting, not missing parties, weddings, everything. Just everything's around boxing. And just sometimes you're there, I just lie there and just want to be normal. Do you know what I mean? Live a normal life. And
It's hard, isn't it? Because I would love to be you. I love to come and like be a boxer but yeah, I see.
Mate, you wouldn't last 10 seconds.
I know I wouldn't, but I like to be as good as Liam. But like I see it on TV, you watch it for an hour and you think, oh, it's amazing. You see the Vegas and Wembley.
yeah.
People don't think the dieting up at 4 a.m.
That's
taking the
it.
kids to school and all that sort of stuff as well.
Are you hoping for kids one day, Liam?
Yeah, one day. Not yet, because obviously I'm training, and at the minute I can't. This might sound mean, really mean, but I don't want to come back after training and but getting woken up in the night and just breaking your sleep patterns, because it's mentally draining and it's hard enough on the body already. So
It's more rewarding than you think with kids.
yeah, we've come up to the agreement. We're going to wait till like 29, 30, and after every fight we can have a holiday. When you've got kids and stuff, you not just a holiday, but we've got a caravan, and it's not so easy to commit yourself to do all these things when you've got kids. And like I say, I've got nephews and nieces, so I can have them for a bit, and when they cry I can take them back. That suits me good at the minute.
Right, a few more, go on, Tom.
Do you ever think about your future after boxing? It is a very dangerous sport and can have damaging effects on the body. Do you ever think about that, or do you just live in the moment?
With what I've seen so far, I think I know the answer to that. Go ahead.
Do live in the moment, yeah. I just roll with it, but obviously at the end, my plan is to, at the end of my boxing, get as much as I can done, make much memories, because that's what it's about. When you're older, it's all done. All you have is them memories, don't you? And I hope we make plenty more good memories. We've got good ones already, and 100% I'll be a boxing coach. 100%. Boxing's in my blood and I love it. My dad runs this gym now, and I'm sure I will help him and be a partner with him, help running it when it's all said and done, because we've got big knowledge and we can make the next champion out of this community. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
True. Every week on the podcast, we like our guests to ask questions to each other. So we get a guest to ask a question, but they have no idea who the question is going to be for. This week's question comes from our previous guest, Warwickshire cricket captain Marie Kelly, and she asked, if you could have one meal for the rest of your lives, what would it be and why?
What
One meal for the rest of my life.
probably something very yummy and sweet.
Yeah. See, I love burgers, mate. Love burgers.
But if you choose burgers, you'll have to give up pizza.
I know, I like pizza too.
Too much choice.
Well, I'm gonna go with a burger with some chips, with some like Stilton cheese sauce on the burger and stuff.
I'm like, yeah, like.
I'm making me hungry
Oh,
now.
no, it's
Some
not.
onion rings. Gotta have onion rings. Yeah, something like that would be
I'm
unreal.
not really a big
Sounds
fan of
nice.
onions.
I love a Sunday dinner though as well. It's hard.
So straight after your fight, hit Southwater, straight into
Do you know
wherever you go, and
after the fight, it's always hard because you have to have tests and drug test and whatever. So you come in the back, you probably do like 10 interviews, which take an hour or so. You're in the do your testing. You come back. You got like always have my family.
To make sure you're not on anything.
Yeah.
Which I don't see you as doing anything like that.
No.
Don't ever.
No.
Okay?
And then you're in there, and obviously I always have my family, my little sisters, wife-to-be, my brothers, sister, mum, dad, and all my coaches. So we normally have sitting there chatting for an hour or so, do you know what I mean? Well, people are coming in doing interviews and...
how do you find then? You just mentioned your family. Obviously, your dad's poison care. He's a boxer, knows the sport. What was like your family there? Your fiance's there, your mum's there, watching you get punched in the face.
I won't be surprised if
How do they feel about it?
See, my mum known that we've always done it from a young lad. My young brother Brad, he's had 4-1-4 as a professional at the minute, so he's on the come up, and I think my mum has got used to it over the years. She normally has a good drink before, to be honest, so I'm not sure if that's her way. And
Helps.
but yeah, we both done very well. We've not really lost many, so she ain't had it too bad, and touch wood, it don't change. But as I was saying before, after the fight, you spend a long time. I don't normally leave, and I have all these people buy tickets, so I always tell them to come back here, and I meet them here, so I always come here for an hour, which is hard because people are drunk. Like last time, everyone's drunk, and they've been out since 6 o'clock. It's 1 a.m, I've just got back, and I've got blue hands, and they're trying to shake my hand, and I say, I can't shake your hand, but thank you. And I come here for a bit, and then about 2, 3 o'clock, I never sleep on that night. It's always crazy. 2, 3 o'clock, the only place open to get some good food, McDonald's. Bosh.
Not that you have a problem with that.
Nah, so normally go down McDonald's, get a Big Mac, always bigger than your belly because you've been starving. You think, Big Mac, McChicken sandwich, nuggets, anything I can get. Go home, eat a few bites, and I'm full.
And then have your fiance rip you a new one.
Yeah. No, to be fair, she's knackered because she's obviously been on the adrenaline roller coaster where before she's worrying and then after she's really happy. So she comes back, normally put the telly on the sofa because I don't normally fall asleep. I always try and reply to everyone on my phone because to me that's a big thing, just to say thank you, do you know what I mean, and recognise. So yeah, normally I'm up about, last time I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, she's flat out, and thought I'm going to have a bath, made myself a coffee and had a bath like 5 in the morning and just...
The adrenaline's still going.
Yeah, you're still buzzing, then about 8, 9 o'clock you're up. I always go to my granddad's grave and my uncle's grave to show them, so... And then from there, normally a Sunday dinner, big pudding, or 2 puddings.
Sounds nice.
Or 3.
Yeah.
Go on, Tom, that's one.
Paul's crushing it now.
Could you do the same, please? Can you think of a question for our next guest, please? But we aren't going to tell you who the guest is.
No.
The question could be anything you want.
Yeah, anything. As you can see by the last one, it has nothing. It doesn't even have anything to do with sport. It can be totally random.
Let me think. Try and make it a good one. Do you know what I mean?
This is the time where we rack people's creative brains.
I don't know. Can they? I don't know. Have they ever? Can they tap their head and rub their belly? I
All right.
That's a good skill. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Can you do it, boys? Listen. Tap your head like that. And rub your belly. And it's like so.
this?
Yeah.
that's it. And then rub your head and tap your belly.
I can like barely do it.
Takes in
It's
coordination.
a weird one though, isn't it? That's what comes to mind.